friends, I'm Amy and this is A-Star Reads, and today it is time to trash my TBR. It's time to make the final decisions. I'm really nervous about this. A lot of these books are from like 2011, 2012, which was, you know, quite a few years ago. So I'm excited to clean off my Goodreads shelf. Now, I will say that you should be very proud of me because since making the video, the first Trash My TBR video, I've actually cleared off a lot of the books on my TBR shelf on my own. Now, it may not seem like a lot to you, but it was a lot to me. I have it down to 1,584. So that's minus 131 books. And considering I have definitely added books to that list since doing that first video, I think that's pretty darn good. I'm pretty happy with that. And I'm sure that I'll be able to continue going through and clearing things off that I know I can't either remember why I put it on there or it was something that I'm not really interested in reading. There was quite a few that I was able to go on there and clean off because they had so few reviews that I knew it would be hard for me to get my hands on the book, like get an actual copy of the book. So I figured if I really want to read those books and I want to go through a lot of effort to try and get them, then I can do that. But most of the time, you know, if it's not my local library, if it's not easy to get a hold of, then I probably should just wait unless it's something I really, really want to read. Anyways, I want to thank everybody who commented on the video and gave your opinions. I loved some of the opinions. It was hilarious. I know that a lot of these books were books that either people read a long time ago or they don't remember reading or they haven't read. And so when I do the second round of Trash My TBR, I'm going to try and get a broader variety of the genre on there. So I'll probably pick books from my different genre categories and like pick 3 from each category or something along those lines. That way I have a bit more variety. So maybe you'll have heard some of the books. Okay, so I put together a wonderful little spreadsheet that is going to help me go through this. It has all 25 books on it. How many of you guys said you would keep it? How many of you guys gave a bad review for that book? And then there were a couple of maybes. I'm gonna keep the top 3 books that you guys picked. And the way I figured that out was I took how many of you decided you would keep it for your TBR, and I subtracted how many negative reviews there were for those books. And whichever ones had the highest scores are the 3 that I will keep. Now, for the other 2 choices, one is a book that I have been really wanting to read and in a genre that I've been kind of missing reading lately. And the other one's gonna be sort of a mood read. I went back over a lot of these synopses and I was like, what do I feel like reading in the next couple of months? And that's how I'm gonna choose it. It's just gonna be based off what I feel like reading. And you know, I'll take your guys' complaints into consideration, of course, but still my choice. These are still books that I wanna read. Okay, so I just went back and looked at my list of books and looked at the page numbers and whatnot. And I might actually do 6 books. So I'm changing my rules. But I promise I will read these books. I think that I could read a few of them like at the same time and do a reading vlog over the summer where I'm reading like 3 of them because they're not too long. And I'm also not giving myself an extra month to read them in. And if I don't read them all by the end of September, then they're going off my TBR anyways. So I am a bad girl. So bad. Okay, so actually 4 of them will be the top 4 that you guys picked that I should keep, as far as, well, what you would have kept on your TBR. And then 2 of them are basically mood reads, books that I'm not ready to let go of. I think that I will enjoy these and I want to read them in the next few months. So let's start out by looking at the ones that you guys just didn't like. There were no votes for these. In fact, there were only negative comments. And the first one with a -2 score is Visit from the Goon Squad. And I really want to thank Tony Weller for their comment. They said, I hated A Visit from the Goon Squad. It is told from different viewpoints in each chapter of people who are connected, but it is very weird. If I remember correctly, only the English teachers in the group were the ones that liked it. There's one chapter told in PowerPoint, which I actually kind of think is fascinating. And I probably would be one of the people that liked it. But with that comment, and then with Ruby Huber's comment about it being completely forgettable, I don't need to read A Visit from the Goon Squad. I'm going to trash that one. Okay, so the next lowest one with a -1 score was Bless Me Ultima. And I was already planning on getting rid of this one anyways. Like I said before, I did start it at one point, but it just didn't capture me and I'm not finding myself at all interested in reading it. So thank you, Victoria Garza, for confirming that it's a book that I shouldn't read. Because she basically said that she tried reading it also and just couldn't get into it. So that means Bless Me Ultima is gone as well. Okay, so next I want to talk about the books that had no comments from any of you guys. I'm just going to trash them because You didn't say anything good about him, you didn't say anything bad about him, and I'm not interested, so we're just getting rid of him. The first one is Little Big, which is a magical realism, and I don't know, I'm not that excited about this one. It doesn't seem like a fantasy that I'm interested in, and I don't even know why I originally put it on here. So, trashing Little Big. And the next one I'm going to just trash because you guys had no opinions on it is Swans Away by Proust, which if I end up doing like Gilmore Girls need to read everything on Rory Gilmore's reading list, maybe I'll eventually put it back on my list because I remember them talking about it in the show, but I went back and looked at the synopsis and I was like, it's not gonna happen. So I'm just gonna get rid of Swans Way. The next one I'm going to trash is Possession by A.S. Byatt. Then the only comment I got on this one was from Pei from Attention, and he had a great comment. He said that A.S. Byatt's writing is beautiful and I should definitely read something by A.S. Byatt, and I hopefully will at some point. But I went back and looked at the synopsis for this, and I'm not feeling it right now. It's just not gonna happen. I do value your opinion because I love your channel and you have a lot of great opinions on books, so maybe it'll happen at some point in the future, but not today. Okay, so let's talk about Emperor of All Maladies. I tried listening to this one on audiobook, like I said before, and I couldn't. The audiobook was so dry, was not at all what I wanted to read. And even though 2 of you said that you would keep it for your own TBRs, my friend Elisa said that she tried reading it, or she did read it, and it was really dry, and she just wasn't interested in it. So, you know what? I read plenty of science nonfiction, especially a lot of books that I really enjoy. I don't have to pick this one up. I have so many more on my TBR list. I think I'm okay with letting this one go. So that's it. Emperor of All Maladies is gone. Okay, so let's talk about the Cookbook Collector. Now, Margaret Bernard said I should keep this one, and I don't know why, but I think I'm most interested because my friend Elise gave it such good ratings, but the ratings for it in general have been pretty low, and I'm just not feeling it. So I think Cookbook Collector has gotta go. All right, let's talk about The Republic. This is an interesting one because the score got canceled out. 2 of you said, read it, you have to read it. Pei said something along the lines of, everybody has to read The Republic at some point in their life, and Jeremy Fee was surprised that I hadn't read it. And so, yeah, I agree with you guys. It's probably a very important book to read. However, Liz from For Booking Out Loud and Cheryl Stevens said to trash it, so guess what? I'm gonna take their opinion. But I value everybody's opinion. I really do. Thank you for commenting. All right, so the next one is Kafka on the Shore. And I was actually kind of surprised I didn't hear more comments about this one because I know quite a few people have read it, and I know that there's very strong opinions both ways for this book. Some people loved it, and some people absolutely hated it because it is a weird book. And I know that it's a weird book, and that just people who enjoy weird books really enjoyed it. So there was one person who would keep it on their own TBR, and then just no other comments from anybody else. So I am going to get rid of it, and I'm okay letting this one go. I don't feel really bad about it. I also know that there's themes in this that I'm just not feeling like touching at the moment. I don't need to deal with the incestual Oedipus theme at the moment. I've had enough of that. I've had enough of that recently. So let's talk about Man in the High Castle. Pei said it was really good. Somebody else said they would keep it because I was so interested in it. So they were like, you probably should just keep it because of the reaction I had to it. But then Magda said she just could not stand this book and she actually DNF'd it. So I am going to choose at this moment to drop it. I don't think it'll be the last time this book ends up on my TBR. I'm pretty sure at some point I will end up reading it if I like other works by this author. I'm still intrigued. I'm still really intrigued by this premise. So I'm getting rid of it right now, but that's pretty tentative. Let's talk about the Federalist Papers, which is something that I thought I was really interested in reading, mostly because of a history class I was in at one point. And one person said I should keep it. But I loved Anne-Marie's comment from Anne-Marie's Adventures. She was like, just watch Hamilton, which I hear ya. I think that's a good suggestion. In fact, I haven't watched Hamilton yet. Shell, I know you're cringing because you've told me to watch it over and over and over again, and I will watch it. It just hasn't happened yet. My life has been crazy. And so if I watch Hamilton, the play, then I won't need to read the Federalist Papers. That works out perfectly. I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. That sounds like a great compromise. So the Federalist Papers is gone. Next, let's talk about God of Small Things. This one, honestly, didn't really know anything about. I really don't even remember putting it on my TBR. It does kind of actually sound interesting. Like, now that I've gone back and looked at the synopsis a couple of times, I really did think about this. One person would have kept it on their TBR. I'm not sure this is a good choice because it sounds like a book that I would enjoy. But for the time being, I can't pick them all. I just can't pick them all. And so I have to let go of God of Small Things. And also 2 other books that I'm going to just cut them out of my life completely because I have so many nonfiction historical books on my TBR that I would rather read are Battle Cry of Freedom and The Civil War. Both of those got 1 keep each, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough. And that's an area that I really need to cut out anyways. So I'm just getting rid of those 2. That's just it. And because I'm doing this, because I'm here in this place of historical nonfiction and just having way too many on my TBR, we're gonna cut out Byzantium. It's gone. We're cutting it out. And we're also gonna cut out A Distant Mirror. And I'm actually kind of sad about that one because I really liked the concept. I like the concept, but I tried it on audiobook and I didn't enjoy it. I didn't enjoy the audiobook. It was so dense. The material was so dense. It's very interesting, but I couldn't enjoy it at the time. So maybe because I couldn't enjoy it then, this is just not a good time for me to read it. And if it really is meant to be, it will come back into my life. Let's hope. Because, I don't know, for some reason letting that one go is a little painful. But I feel good. I feel good for getting 4 of those historical nonfictions off my TBR. They're gone. They're gone. We're cutting them out of my life. All right, let's talk about The Paris Wife. The Paris Wife is one that really sounded intriguing to me. It is about Ernest Hemingway and his wife, and it was a historical fiction, so it's not a real story about them. And I got 2 people that would have kept it on their TBR, but it really wasn't enough to convince me. So I'm getting rid of The Paris Wife. I don't really have any strong feelings towards this book, so I don't feel too bad about that one. Okay, so the next one that I'm actually feeling a bit bummed out about, Little Princes. I'm getting rid of Little Princes. I've been intrigued with this book for a very long time. It's a book that I've tried to get my nonfiction book club to read multiple times. In fact, I tried to get my nonfiction book club in Texas to read it when I was living there. And then I tried to get my nonfiction book club up here in Washington to read it when I was living here. And nobody wants to read this book. And I have some weird attraction to this book, some interest in this book. Anne-Marie made a good point. She said, you know, it sounds like a good concept, and an interesting concept, but I'd be worried about the white savior element to it. I can understand that. And then KL, who, oh, thank you for congratulating me on 400 subscribers. I was really excited to reach that milestone. She said that it sounded like an interesting book as well, but it would probably be devastating. So yeah, I mean, you know, it's not gonna be a book that's gonna make you feel good. And there is the fear of it having that white savior complex. So I'm letting it go. I don't know why this book has intrigued me for so long. It got really good reviews. I just need to let it go. I need to let it go, get it off my TBR. I won't see it anymore, and then I won't think about it anymore. I haven't read it yet, so it didn't happen. So I just need to let it go. Let it go. Nobody wants to read this book. Nobody in my nonfiction clubs want to read this book, so I don't want to read it either. Okay. Now, let's talk about a controversial book. A controversial book because you guys were fighting for this one. You guys were fighting for and against this book, and you have opinions, and I love it. I love it. A Tale of Two Cities. Mitchell would keep it, Liz would keep it, and Jackie would keep it. You guys all are really okay with Charles Dickens and A Tale of Two Cities. You want to read it at least. And, you know, I've been interested in reading it as well. I think that there's probably other Charles Dickens that I'd rather read, but I was okay with keeping this one. At least, you know, I was okay with trying it out. But then the negative comments were pretty darn negative, and I loved it. I loved it. Let me share them with you. So Ruby says, trash A Tale of Two Cities. That book is only good for reading as a high schooler who is discovering themes and motives, but at this point it will do nothing for you! Exclamation, exclamation, exclamation. Ruby has strong feelings about this book. And then Alita's comment was, I hate Charles Dickens' writing. So, I mean, His writing style is not for everyone. And so this actually didn't really turn me off that much from A Tale of Two Cities, to be honest. I loved the comments, I loved the scathing reviews, but I have an interesting taste in books. However, I'm okay letting this one go. I've heard from quite a few other people that A Tale of Two Cities is their least favorite Charles Dickens book, and I think that if this one is meant to be in my life, it will come back into my life. Or if I read other Charles Dickens and I'm like, yeah, I really loved his writing, or I loved these other books, then there's always opportunities for this to come back. You know, the nice thing about the classics is they're always going to be talked about, they're always going to be discussed, there's always opportunities for these to come back into my life. So it's more the obscure books that if I take them off my TBR, they probably won't be coming back. But some of these larger classics, I'm just not feeling like reading it right now. And you know what? That's okay. So it's gone. It's gone. Goodbye, Tale of Two Cities. Okay, so let's talk about the winners. I'm really excited about this. I have picked 6 books, but that's because 2 or 3 of these books are really short. Yeah, they're really short. And so I think it's okay. You know, 2 of these together could be considered 1 book. So I'm bending my own rules, and I'm okay with that. You know what? I already knew it was gonna be hard for me to have to let go of books. So I'm giving myself a reward for getting off 130 some odd books from my TBR on my own. So the strangest book that I'm actually keeping, and you guys didn't have hardly any comments on. I think one person said they would keep it. There was really no thoughts on this one, but when I was looking at synopses and thinking about what I want to read right now, this one stood out for me. I don't know why, but The Passion by Jeanette Winterson is a book that just sounds interesting to me at the moment. It sounds like something I'll enjoy reading. I don't know why. It doesn't even sound like something that most people would probably be interested in, but it does to me. And it's only 176 pages. So, I mean, this was my extra added one, and I felt not bad adding it because it's so short. It's hardly a book. It's hardly a book. It's just a short little book. My other mood read pick is Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep by Philip Dick. And this is the first in the Blade Runner series. And I'm so excited to read this. I know I didn't pick The Man in the High Castle, but the reason I say that that could end up back on my TBR is because I plan on reading this one. And if I love Philip Dick's writing a lot, I will probably end up reading more of it. And the thing is, I've really been feeling like reading sci-fi. It's a genre that I haven't got a chance to read a lot lately. My TBR game has not been picking any sci-fi for me. I'm in a mood. I'm in a mood for sci-fi, and this one is one that I've been interested in reading for a very long time. And it's time. Jeremy Fee says I should read it. And if Jeremy Fee says I should read it, then I'm gonna read it, gosh darn it. So I'm really excited about reading this one, and it wasn't a hard decision to make. This one was pretty easy. Let's talk about a clear winner. Clear winner. There was one person that said trash it, but they didn't give a reason why. There were 6 people who said please keep this book, or they would keep it for their TBR, and that was Catch-22, which I knew was gonna happen. I knew there was no way you guys were gonna let me take Catch-22 off my TBR, so I wasn't too concerned about it. I figured that would be one of the books I ended up reading, because it's a classic, right? It's a classic that everybody enjoys as well. So I'm really excited about reading Catch-22. I have no good excuse for not reading it prior to this point. I am pretty sure I will love it. I say pretty sure because I did not love Lord of the Flies. So there is a chance I won't love it, but I love the concept, so I'm pretty sure I'm gonna enjoy this one. Okay, so the next one I'm excited to keep is The Antelope Wife by Louise Erdrich. And this wasn't a really hard one. I loved The Paint and Drum recently. I gave it 5 stars. I have been a little, like The Roundhouse I gave 3 stars to in the past, so it wasn't my favorite, but I do appreciate her writing quite a bit. So I'm excited to read more by Louise Erdrich, and this is a good opportunity to do that. And for the most part, you guys would also have kept this one. Margaret Pernard wants to keep this, Liz wants to keep this, a couple others want to keep this. So I'm going to keep this one and continue on my journey through the writings of Louise Erdrich. And this is sort of appropriate as well because I'm currently taking a course on tribal sovereignty and tribal history for my school. You know, there's this curriculum called Since Time Immemorial Curriculum in Washington, which is required for all teachers, which is incorporating Indigenous history into our education. Not just Indigenous history, but tribal sovereignty history and Indigenous cultures into your teaching and learning, which is something that most states don't actually do. And I'm so happy that Washington is taking this step and making it mandatory, because this is an important part of history that most people don't learn about in school. I mean, I know that we learn either not enough or inaccurate information. And I think this just will be a great way to complement the material I'm going over right now anyways. And the next one is one that you clearly wanted me to read. I got 5 votes yes for Medea, 1 that was no, but no explanation as to why it was no. It's just that you guys loved Medea, or you want me to read Medea. But most of you thought it was a really intriguing story, and it was a good piece of history, and it's a play, and it's a nice short play. So this is another one where I can get through it pretty quickly. As Leanne said, Medea is brilliant. I highly recommend it if you're in the mood for a dark story and ready to shift sympathy. Oh, I like that. I love books where you shift sympathy. I know I read this comment before, but I didn't think about it. Sorry, Leanne. I got your comment before, but all of a sudden it was like, yes, okay. I'm even more excited to read Medea because I love character arcs like that where you shift sympathy. Oh, I love it. Oh my gosh, that's like one of my favorite themes in books. So if you guys know other books where you end up shifting sympathy within the books, totally something I'm into. Give me your recommendations, put them down in the description box below so I can add more books to my TBR. I am a bit extra in this video. I really am. So the last book I'm keeping is a fun one. And I loved this because you guys had opinions on this. And even though there were a couple opinions that really had me convinced to get it off my TBR, this one was one of the highest rated books. You guys really would have kept this one. And so I'm really gonna keep it. I'm gonna read this one. And that is the Iliad. And I don't know if I'm happy about this or if I'm pissed about this because this is a long book. And some of the negative comments were really convincing. For one, Sophie Carbone was like, and the Iliad, yeesh, read it so many times for school and the Odyssey and they're just so boring. If Odysseus wasn't such a dude bro, I probably would have enjoyed it. But my goodness, he does not fucking deserve books this long about him. So unnecessary. That was a hilarious comment. It was a really good one, Sophie. And I understand, Sophie. I read the Odyssey and I think I gave it around 3 stars. I can't remember exactly. It just wasn't... I don't know if you have to be in a mood, but it's a thing, you know, it's a real thing. And the comment from Linny002 was really convincing. It said, as one of the few who absolutely adores the Iliad, don't read it. I am of the minority, and just because it worked out for me doesn't mean anyone else should be forced to read that mess. If you really want to know what happens, there are plenty of other modern retellings that are far more appropriate. So I probably agree with him. So I'll probably end up shooting myself in the foot for not taking those 2 opinions and listening to all the rest of you who feel like you want to read this. There were so many people here who were for this. Of course, Shell loves mythology. That was no surprise to me at all that she would pick this one. Alita actually said she was here to fight for the Iliad and that she loves it so much. So, I mean, you know, that's convincing. There are a lot of opinions about this book, and most of them were positive. This one actually had 4 points, and so it was one of the top books on this list. And therefore I am keeping the Iliad. We'll see. Like I said, the Odyssey was... What did I say about the Odyssey? So I owe Homer an apology because I thought I had read the Odyssey, and it turns out I went back and looked at my Goodreads to what I had read, and it was actually the Aeneid by Virgil, which I gave 3 stars. And I enjoyed for some elements of it, but the names, the constant name dropping in that of all the fighters was just not as exciting to me because I didn't know enough of their own back histories. I'm sorry, Homer. I was basing my feelings about your book off of what I had read from Virgil. That's really not fair, is it? So, I know that Homer's not alive, just so you guys know. I realize this. I have renewed excitement about reading the Iliad, and yeah, okay, so what a fool. Anyways, so those are my 6 books. And I forgot to mention the points on the other books. The top rated book was Catch-22, which got 5 points. Then there was the Iliad, which got 4 points. And Medea also got 4 points. And then the Antelope Wife got 3 points. And then finally Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep and The Passion were my mood reads. Those are the ones I feel like reading right now, so I'm going to. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for going on this journey with me. I will be doing a series of Trash My TBR vlogs, so every time I read one of these books in the next few months, I'm gonna do an actual vlog around that video. So stay tuned, this isn't the end of this. You're gonna experience these books with me because you made me choose them. And I really appreciate all the input. All the input, the good and the bad. It was great. Thank you so much. And if you like this video, click the like button and subscribe now so you can find out what happens along the journey. Will I love them? Will I hate them? Will I actually read them? I don't know. We'll find out. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you later. Bye.